my first radio program, a great man named John Seil called. He was calling before I was even off the radio. I look down, I'm talking to Scott on the phone, and I look down and there's a guy calling me already. I went over, took one flagpole, drove all the way across the state and installed one flagpole for him. And he's been my biggest advocate ever since.
Just moved into this house and it had an old broken down flagpole, so I pulled it out. I wanted being on top of the hill and visible from the highway. I wanted a nice, decent quality flagpole put in, and one that would display well. Came up and did a very nice job installing my flagpole. I think I would be classified in the old school type patriotism in regard to New England style. Back in the old days of the colonies, they were the ones that really kind of got things going and helped us gain our independence and got the other colonies involved. Because I really believe in the liberty and the freedom that we have in this country. And so to me, that means the ability to pursue exactly what our founders wanted us to do, which was to pursue happiness. And the way to do that is for the government to be able to not be so involved in our lives and allow us to pursue that business by being able to work your way up from nothing into, just about anything that you want to do. I do a lot of hunting. A lot of bird hunting, and I mean when I'm talking hunting, I'm talking extreme hunting. Like I hunt up in the Bering Sea for ducks. I mean, I've been out in the middle of the Bering Sea in a raft, and so I've done that, and I've been all the way down into Mexico hunting ducks. So from the East Coast to the West Coast, that's what I really enjoy doing in the fall. And then I have a Labrador Retriever that's a very good hunting dog. He's a pointer, and so I do a lot of pheasant hunting in northwestern North Dakota. About, I guess, this is 2019, so it'd be about 2000, so 19 years ago. I was, I wasn't really interested in big game. I never really enjoyed it that much. I've done a little bit of it because my son's gotten into it, archery-wise, and then so for us to do things together, he'll help me put in for tags, and then maybe we'll do a little bit of that. But my original interest was trying to get every huntable duck in North America. That was my goal. So that's why when I mentioned I've been up in the Bering Sea, there's areas I had to go to get that particular duck because that's the only place they were. So I ended up with 36 different species of ducks that I had to harvest. And then consequently have the best possible taxidermy work done on them possible. And so I've got two extremely good taxidermists, one in Missouri, but the best one, I think he's the best waterfowl taxidermist in the world, and he's in Alabama. I achieved my goal 4 years ago where I got my final one out in Massachusetts. It was called the Red Preston Merganser of all things. And so yeah, that's what I enjoy doing.
Just so happy that we got to come to my first customer's house once again for a follow-up appointment. I practice on John. Well, as you start a new business and you create, what the business means shaped around yourself, you're like, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Well, then experience happens, and then now we do it different. Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing, Jim?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
I always told you I wanted you to have an internal halyard.
Well, you good to your word. There it is.
There it is.
There
right?
it is. Yeah.
Watch this baby.
Yeah.
Round and round. It's more right now, but 360 degrees. You'll never get any flag wrap.
No flag wrap. That'll be really nice.
I figure out why you probably have flag wrap.
Well, I'm in an area where everything swirls over there.
Your house is like this.
Yeah.
And the air just goes around and round.
Yeah, unless we have a south or southeast wind, you know, it has a tendency to wrap a little bit until I get a flutter going. But yeah, it swirls in that area.
Well, you're my first customer, my number one customer, my biggest advocate, so I want to make sure that you were completely satisfied.
I'm completely satisfied. You've done everything you said you were going to do. Can you do more than that? So, been a good deal. And I love having this on top of this hill. I love having this flag up here. It means a lot to me.
Well,
so I think you know that.
Let's go see what it takes to get this one out, and we'll put this other one in for you.
Sounds good.
Remember I did this once already.
How long ago did you put this pole in?
2016.
Okay.
Like October, November.
I just remember mixing up a lot of cement.
That's what I got old Christopher for.
38 bags we put in there, Jim. That's almost a ton.
And I hand dug this one.
You hand dug it. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. That'll be there for years to come.
Let's dump the water out. I think we should try and use more water.
A lot of water in there. And silt.
Yeah, we're adding water.
You're putting water in? Why?
Help suck the sand out. Well, you know, if you knew anything about the oil field, you know that they run water down hole to do different things.
To circulate the sand out?
That was sarcasm
I got you.
directed towards a old oil man.
I was an old oil man. I am an old oil man. Heavy on the old.
I should get Halliburton out here to put some pressure on this.
I don't want them coming up my driveway. As long as they can hook up from the approach.
Was there a guy named something Halliburton? Is he the
Yeah, Earl P. Halliburton. That's who I worked for coming out of college.
Oh, really?
I worked for Halliburton for 6 years. I was an engineer for Halliburton.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Field engineer.
I'm wondering if he must have some great grandkids that still haven't been born yet. They'll never have to work another day in their life.
If there's any Halliburtons left, yeah, because they've never been bought out. Halliburton has never been bought out. They bought out other people. The government just stopped them from buying Baker Hughes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they stopped it as a monopoly, so they wouldn't let that sale go through of Halliburton buying Baker. You getting there?
Seems like it was easier in a snowstorm.
Yeah, you didn't sweat as much. It's always easier to put in than it is to take out. How does it not fall down? Do you have something to hold it up with when you pull it out? Or how does it not fall down once you pull it out? That's what those long arms are for, right?
Right.
I know.
I had a shoulder replaced since I've seen you last.
So you got an artificial shoulder?
Yeah, total replacement.
I'm holding off on my knees. I used to play circuit volleyball for 20 years. And then I was the head volleyball coach at Trinity Christian. And so my knees are They hurt, but I'm waiting as long as I can. Oh, that thing doesn't want to budge.
Well, it might come out now if you winch it up.
Yep, it's coming up. Wow.
Ready?
Sorry,
See how easy that was? Flag assembly against the pole, so you don't, it's not out there flapping,
Oh, okay.
you know, beat up. So it's going to go between your flags.
Oh,
You're going to have two of them. You already have one of these on on the bottom.
yeah.
You keep, it always got to be right underneath my skin. He's like a 2-year-old too. He's a 2-year-old. He's probably the best employee a guy could have. Like,
You guys are more like father and son than you are.
why?
That's how father and son get along.
Why?
My son and I, we do things together. That's what the way it kind of is. They always know more than us, right?
Yes.
Right up to the point where they discover that they don't.
Oh, I know.
He's chewing on a rock.
I know. He's nuts. So he has Addison's disease.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has a big dressing room.
Okay.
He went from 14 pounds, he's now 29.
Yeah,
We thought we were going to lose him. He lost control of
Yeah.
his leg.
yeah. lifeblood. That helps America be energy free. Those pipelines were legally and done. The work was done. If you're going to do that, you tell me what commerce is going to be done anymore if you do everything you need to do legally, and a president can come in and undo a $4 billion investment for political purposes. North Dakota has to be prepared to fight that and not allow that pipeline to be shut down. Simply said, they have to figure out something that, no, you're not going to do that to our economy. This is our lifeblood. Agriculture and oil.
We think like, what's good for America, what's good for us?
Business. Business is what's good for America.
Capitalism and freedom of the individual.
Well, listen, that pipeline company made a $4 billion investment, $4 billion. That investment was so that they could regain that investment by oil flowing through that pipeline. They did everything legally that there was to do. Everything legally, all their I's dotted, all their T's crossed. They purposely went around, they made all kinds of arrangements, making sure not to go on any lands that were sacred or any of that type of stuff. So all of that stuff was done. They had over 360 meetings regarding that pipeline and where it was going to go. 360 meetings. She's talking right now about shutting down the XL and the Dakota Access Pipeline, which means 350,000 barrels of oil do not flow to our refineries. We're the #2 producer of oil in America, and that is 1/3 of our oil flowing through that one pipeline, and about another 100,000 through the XL. So, or projected. So that's we can't allow it.
All I could figure is somebody that would want to do that would have more of a globalist outlook on where America should be, rather than a country, a sovereign country.
They don't want an America. They're not America first people. Trump is America first, as should every leader of every country in the world. There's nothing wrong with being a nationalist. They've made the term nationalist bad. You should be for your country and what's best for your country. The Chinese premier or president should be what's best for. You do the best you can through negotiations, and Trump, of course, is an incredible negotiator, and that's why he's been so successful, and that's why our economy is so successful. And we just cannot have somebody who is not willing to be America first. And I'm not seeing anything on the far left side that comes anywhere near that at all. Those polls are not done regarding the Electoral College. Those polls are done regarding overall in the United States. And the media knows that. The MSM knows that. But they're not going to let that out. They want everybody to believe that, say, Biden's got a 12-point lead if he was, well, he's got a 12-point lead because in the urban areas where they give out all this free stuff, and wherever they give out all this free stuff, they're going to vote for the Democrats. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter. You could lose the popular vote by 5 million votes and still be president of the United States because of the Electoral College. And thank God for that, because that's the only thing that protects rural areas like this is the Electoral College. And our founders knew that. A guy named Roger Sherman is the one that made that compromise go through. And Roger Sherman was the only man to sign all 4 major documents in the United States. Roger Sherman was the man, and he was the one that pushed through that compromise that allowed for the Electoral College so that rural states would have a little bit of a boost in that. We have 2 senators, California has 2 senators. That's where those are things that are equalizers for us. It gives us equal representation in the Senate, even to the urban states. That was done so democratic tyranny does not take over. Now that doesn't sound right, does it? Democratic tyranny. But there is a tyranny of the masses. That's why we're not a democracy. That's why we're a republic. Our founders knew that we needed a constitutional republic that would repress democracy to the point where democracy was like, it's going to be partial democracy, but it's not going to be mob rule democracy.
You think Civil War's coming?
I think if the far left ever gains control if they ever gain control where they start enacting laws that take away, like for example, these red flag laws that everybody's so, people need to understand, red flag laws do two things. They do two things. They, number one, infringe on the Second Amendment, and number two, they almost take away from anything from the First Amendment. How does that make sense? It makes sense because if I put something out there on social media that someone deems, boy, that's pretty inflammatory, this guy's got a problem, you know, you can be red flagged. So now it's like, so now I'm worried about what I say. I'm gonna worry about what I say for fear that I get red flagged and somebody comes and takes my firearms away from me. So it, number one, infringes on the Second Amendment. Number one, infringes on the First Amendment because it tries to shut people up. It tries to control what they say. If the far left ever takes control, complete control, you will see a civil war. Yes, I believe that.
Rock on. John Seil is a great American. He's had his ups and his downs in his life, family man. He's always cared for his children. And, you know, you could just tell that the rewards for his being a faithful husband and a good businessman has given him gifts back. And he's not shy to share his gifts either, and I just think the world of John, and that's why I'll never forget him and always take good care of him.
Jim has done a wonderful job with his business. I appreciate him for what he does as an entrepreneur, as a true American. He's a great man. I have a lot of respect for him. And sure, it's about making a living, making a decent living, making money, but Jim has a love of this country, and I'm going to do everything I can do possible to help him, like steering work his way or whatever, because he's a good man. He does an incredible job. I mean, this wasn't an easy job putting this flagpole in.
How they're doing and see how they like things, and if there's issues, I fix them.